I 100% completed both LEGO Indiana Jones games, which included 88 achievements, 165 characters to unlock, just under 300 collectibles, and much more. Both of these games were huge parts of my gaming upbringing, and I've played each of them for a pretty substantial amount of time. And while I was waiting for the Great Circle to come out, I thought there was no better time to return to the classics. There was never really a plan going into these, but I made sure to start with the story mode for each game, and from there, I worked on the miscellaneous trophies at the same time I was gathering all the collectibles, and just cleaned up whatever was left at the very end. The original adventures started by finding the golden idol, participating in the iconic boulder scene, and then immediately having the idol re-stolen by Belloc. From here, I found Marion because we needed her medallion. Then I defeated Major Tote in a boss fight, secured that medallion, and found Luke Skywalker trapped in a cave. Don't worry, we'll be back for him later. After that, I got an achievement for destroying 250 LEGO objects, shot this guy who was showing off his sword skills, and found Sala before Marion was kidnapped. Then I found the Ark of the Covenant, which was also stolen by Belloc, and then I destroyed my 50th creepy Crawley. Not much happened in the next level, besides learning this guy's only weakness was being dumb enough to punch an anvil 3 times. I stole the Ark back, but that victory was short-lived because Belloc struck again, stealing both the Ark and Marion for a second time. I went to find Marion, and I destroyed my 200th enemy. Then I fought Belloc, won, and was recaptured anyway. Then they opened the Ark, which killed all of them. After I finished the Raiders story, I went to the college, and in the museum I got an achievement when I placed a diamond into this machine. In Temple of Doom, Indy was poisoned by Lao Che, and I got to play as Willy, whose special ability was screaming. We cured Indy and met up with Short Round before I repaired and boarded a plane that happened to be Lao Che's. Luckily, there was a raft on board to escape with. Then I made my way to a palace on an elephant and asked about some sacred stones, but they didn't like that and sent some guys in to kill us. Once they were dealt with, I escaped to the cave underground where they were performing a ceremony. It turned out they knew exactly where those stones were, and Willy was captured to participate in the ceremony. Indy made his way to the stones, but he was caught, and we had to fight a boss who was very amusingly exploded before rescuing Willy. After that, I was stumped by a puzzle designed for children. I had to look this up. Then there was a minecart level which allowed me to easily earn the achievement for completing a level without dying. In the last level, called Battle on the Bridge, I spent 90% of the time getting to the bridge and the other 10% actually battling on it. But once I was there, I destroyed the bridge and Mola Ram was fed to the alligators. At the beginning of The Last Crusade, I found the skeleton, and its shield completed the image on Indy's Grail tablet. Then, after a boss fight, Indy was told that his dad was at a castle. When we found him, Elsa convinced Indy to hand his journal over to Donovan, and we learned that she was working with him all along. After the cutscene, we woke up in a burning room and escaped through a rotating fireplace. Then I repaired some bikes, and we left the castle before I got an achievement for playing as Jones Sr. and killing Indy with a rocket launcher. Then I was killed by a rocket launcher, many times. From there, I destroyed a tank, threw a guy out of a blimp, and then Sala came to pick us up in the battle bus. In the last level, we went to find the Holy Grail, and when I made my way to the Grail Knight and his room of chalices, Donovan ran by and drank from one, but
he chose poorly.
I, on the other hand, did not, and we rode off into the sunset. After completing the story, I went back to the college and purchased all the characters that were available. The only one I got through a cheat code was Fedora, and the final remaining character was tied to secret collectibles I found later on. Still at the college, I used the randomizer to make a custom character, unlocking an achievement, and with that, I was at exactly half of the achievements earned before starting free play. Now, this video would get very long and very boring if I ran through the process to collect all the artifacts in free play mode. So instead, I'll just talk about anything that stood out while I was getting the collectibles, as well as any of the achievements I picked up along the way. Like, when I loaded back into the first level, I used the excavation ability for the 50th time. Then inside the temple, I found C-3PO in a hidden room. Remember the last character I mentioned earlier? It's Han Solo, and you unlock the ability to buy him after finding the 5 hidden Star Wars characters. Then I used Indy's whip to grab an object for the 150th time, and shortly after, I used these infinite spawning enemies to break objects over 20 of their heads. Then I went back to where we saw Luke earlier and freed him from the cave, bringing our Star Wars character counter to 205. In the next level, I tossed this monkey bananas for a few minutes until I unlocked another achievement. And then I came across the third Star Wars character, Chewbacca. I used another infinite spawn location in Well of Souls to farm the 100 snakes I needed for... Then I got another achievement for blowing up my 50th object with an explosive. And by this point, I finished the Raiders levels with 100% completion. Literally nothing happened in the first 3.5 Temple of Doom levels until I came across this futuristic looking door. And that was it for Temple of Doom. No achievements or anything. Unlike Temple, I actually got some things done in the first few levels of Crusade. In the second level, I punched a gargoyle that I rebuilt into whatever this is called, and it happened to be the 250th thing I built. Then I found R2-D2 out in the desert to complete the checklist of Star Wars characters. In the final level, I dropped off the last parcel, then activated a Thuggy statue for the 20th time. Towards the end of the level, I secured the 180th and final artifact as well, meaning when I completed the level, I grabbed 2 achievements. One for delivering every parcel, and the other for finding all the artifacts. Then I completed the Young Indie level, which was one of 3 bonus levels available after completing everything else. The next one was called Ancient City, and in order to complete that, I had to collect a total of 1 million studs. Then in the last bonus level, Warehouse, I had to collect 1 million more studs, but after my initial scan of the area, I decided it looked too complicated, and I decided to use an exploit where I repeatedly blew up this target until I reached the stud goal. With just about everything completed, I started the only part of this achievement list I'd consider a grind, and they were all related to specific character abilities. For Start the Engines, Jock, I needed to use the repair ability 50 times, and the piece of machinery in the Raiders level Pursuing the Ark was perfect for this, because it breaks just a few seconds after you repair it. For the next one, I had to use a character's academic ability 50 times. The method for this one was to use the panel in Indy's office, enter a level, and immediately back out to reset the panel and do it again. Next, I had to destroy 50 objects or characters with Willie's screaming ability. What I did was destroy the box in Indy's office, and then load into the Hunt for Sir Richard, where another 2 objects could be destroyed right near where you spawn. And the last grindy achievement had me access 50 restricted locations. The fastest method for this was to repeatedly use the access point in Ancient City. Returning to the college, I purchased the last extra, then I used Indy's whip to kiss Marion, Willie, and Elsa. And I'd like to note that this was unnecessarily annoying. I earned We Go for a Ride after swinging back and forth with Indy's whip for 4 minutes, and then I found another infinite enemy spawn to disarm 100 of them. I returned to Shanghai Showdown to kill Indiana Jones as Lao Che, and then kill Lao Che as Indiana Jones. After that, I blew up 5 enemies with 1 explosion, meaning I only had 2 more achievements to unlock. Back at the college's library, I finally purchased Han Solo to complete the character roster. And in doing so, I brought my 99.7% completed game to 100% and unlocked the final achievement. The levels in The Adventure Continues are much shorter, which is a good thing because there are 90 of them. There are 6 main hubs, one each for Raiders, Temple, and Crusade, and 3 for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which is this game's main focus. Each hub includes 5 story missions, so there's 30, and once you complete those, you'll get access to the treasure and bonus levels, which also have 5 each and reward you with an artifact for completing them. Once you complete the 10 levels in each hub, you can use the artifacts you collected to enter the super bonus level. Because of this unique feature, the story levels don't have any collectibles to find, just reaching True Adventurer by collecting studs. The Crystal Skull story began when Indy found an alien in Area 51 and was betrayed by Mac. We escaped Area 51 in a car and arrived in Nuketown. Then we escaped Nuketown in a refrigerator and arrived at another nearby town. I found Mutt, who had a missing piece of Indy's journal. Then we fought off some mobsters, both in and outside the diner, and destroyed this train by punching the conductor.
Train go boom.
From there, I found a very familiar looking skull that was then taken by Mac and Agent Spalko. Indy reunited with Marion, and then I repaired a jungle cutter to destroy some enemy vehicles and Spalko's own jungle cutter. We were able to steal the skull back, and then had to fight Colonel Dovchenko, who turned into a giant ant monster. The way to defeat him was to cover these anthills with traffic cones. Yeah, I don't know either. After that, I repaired a boat car and used it to destroy some enemy vehicles. Then I fought the Uga King, who could only be damaged by traps, and rescued Oxley from a temple. In the last Crystal Skull level, Spalko intercepted the skull from Oxley and placed it on the alien's body, initiating a huge boss fight where she harnessed electric powers and threw rocks at me. I definitely don't remember this part of the movie. Anyway, once I shot some rockets at her, she was defeated and Crystal Skull's story mode was finished. Raiders started off by meeting Marion at her bar and defeating Tote again. Then after Marion was kidnapped, Indy and Sala fought off waves of swordsmen and soldiers. From here I found the Ark, which Tote stole as well as Sala. I escaped the pyramid with Marion, hijacked the truck carrying the Ark, and destroyed Tote and Belloc's car. After this, there was a boss fight against a supercharged Belloc, and I took him down by reflecting a light beam at him. In the first level of Temple, I got the first achievement that wasn't related to the story, before stealing Lao Che's plane. In this game, we got to see Mola Ram stealing those stones, and I returned to the palace on an elephant to fight a bunch of enemies while he escaped. Down in the cave, Mola Ram used the stones and a special potion to bring this lava monster to life. And to take it down, I had to throw water bottles at it to put the fire out, use short round to stun it, and pull off its arms and head. The last crusade started with a boss fight, and we had to escape from the castle again after Elsa turned on us. Then I had to fight through some waves of enemies to steal Indy's journal back. After that, I used this enemy vehicle to deploy mines and destroy a tank. Then in the last level, I had to activate a trap on both sides of this room to damage Donovan. After that, I followed him into the next area where he drank from one of the chalices. And instead of dying, he was turned into a tornado, and could only be damaged by exploding the metal objects he picked up. After taking the last shot, he was defeated, and I got the achievements for completing the original trilogy. After completing the story mode, I was only 14.6% done, so there was still a lot to do. This is where I started to work towards 100% completing each of the hubs, the semi-open world sections where you can access the treasure and bonus levels, purchase vehicles and characters, and find the red, green, and blue bricks to unlock extras. And surprisingly, it only took about an hour and a half to complete each hub. In Raiders, I started the grind to collect all the vehicles and enemy characters by digging up the passenger jet and buying the Sherpa Brawler. From here, I started to work on the bonus levels, which are essentially just puzzles, and the treasure levels where I needed to combine 2 character abilities. Then I grabbed all the hub's characters and vehicles before completing the last treasure level and getting the achievement for it. Completing that earned me the 10th treasure, so I went down to the beach, broke all the chests, and built this machine that reignited a dormant volcano and sent me to the super bonus level. Just like the ancient city from the first game, I had to collect 1,000,000 studs. But the stud collecting levels in this game were much easier, because they were very generous with the purple studs worth 10,000 each. Moving on to Temple of Doom, I had all the characters and vehicles unlocked in around 40 minutes. Then I completed the last treasure level, and during the last bonus level I was playing as the British commander and shot the bazooka for the 100th time. Now, with all 10 of the treasures collected, I rebuilt a pirate ship on the beach and collected 1,000,000 more studs. About 5 seconds after I loaded into the last Crusades hub, the Grail Knight walked out and I was able to add him to the roster. I had quite the time trying to land this jump and complete the last treasure level, and I got an achievement with a very fitting name for finally doing so. Then I built Mount Rushmore, and from Abe Lincoln's hat I was shot into the sky to collect 1,000,000 more studs. In the first hub for Crystal Skull, I continued to complete the extra levels, bought some vehicles including this insanely fast fridge car, and grabbed a few more characters. Then I went back to Nuketown, completed the last treasure level, and used the treasure I got to build a rocket ship. It took me to a planet where they kept studs all over the ground, so I stole 1,000,000 of them. The second Crystal Skull hub was probably the least eventful of any. You know the drill by now: bonus levels, treasure levels, unlocking characters, vehicles, and extras, and finishing it all off by building the entrance to the super bonus level and collecting the studs. And now we were on to the third Crystal Skull hub, the last of the game, meaning that as I went through completing everything like I have been, I also unlocked a good amount of achievements, starting with this one for completing the last air race. Completing that unlocked the interdimensional being, and I got another achievement for buying it. Then I purchased the last vehicle for Get On Gramps. After that, I finished the last treasure level of the game and once I completed the last bonus level, I got the Obtainer of Rare Antiquities achievement. Then I went and unlocked the Ooga King, which was the last enemy character I needed. And finally, I built a bigger UFO using the 10 treasures I collected, and after securing the 1,000,000th stud, I had completed every bonus level in the game. After all of this, I was at a whopping 68% completion. What I decided to do now was go back into all the levels I didn't earn True Adventurer on and earn it. As a way to make this part a little easier, I took a trip to the Extras tab of the pause menu and input random strings of letters and numbers until I had a stud multiplier of 11,520. This part was fun because all I had to do for these remaining levels was start them. In almost every level of this game, you spawn in stud magnet range of at least one stud. And with a multiplier of over 11,000, let's just say I didn't need to do much. I tried my best to keep track while I was doing this, and I think my fastest time was 1.25 seconds, which was just the time it took for the studs to reach my inventory. Unfortunately, doing this didn't earn an achievement directly, but it made meaningful progress towards the 100%. What did make progress to an achievement directly was using this bonus level in the last Crusade to use the Scholar accessibility a couple times and reach the 10 I needed for an achievement. Now I spent some time grabbing the 3 combat related achievements I had left, and all I had to do to unlock them was destroy 50 Russian enemies as Mutt, kill Indy 3 times as Mac, and kill Indy as Agent Spalko. Then I had to complete the Hangar 51 level in under 5 minutes, which I managed to do with only 10 seconds to spare. Now it was time for the Creator Hub achievements, that were all very easy, besides one, which was just annoying. First, I had to complete the 4 builder tutorial levels. I did the absolute bare minimum on these, because I don't plan on building levels in this game anytime soon. After that, I made a customized character, which I put quotes around because it was just Indiana Jones with a sword and a different hat. The next achievement I got by accident when I completed this absolute masterpiece of a level I made. Then I loaded into one of the bonus levels from earlier, copied a fence into my inventory, and placed it in the middle of the road. When I saw this next achievement, I thought it was going to be a little time consuming. I had to complete a build your own adventure, but in the achievement criteria, it didn't say how lengthy or challenging the adventure had to be. So I chose the first option on every menu, and once I loaded in, I threw a sword, built a path to walk over, moved 2 barrels, stood on a button, and the achievement was mine. Now for that annoying achievement I mentioned earlier, in order to get You Chose the Wrong Friends, I had to complete all the story levels in Quick Play for some reason. I don't even want to talk about this. Oh wait, I already did, because I already played all of these levels.
Approximately 10 hours later.
Completing that awful challenge meant I only had one achievement left to earn, and it was for completing the game to 100%. After everything I talked about in this video so far, you're probably wondering what else I needed to do in order to reach that number. And I'll tell you, in the Creator Hub, I had to purchase all of the available objects. You know, the things you can place in your levels. At first, this wasn't a problem. I made my way through each of the movies, buying everything I could. And at the end of the third Crystal Skull Hub, I thought for sure I was done, but I wasn't. I was stuck at 96%. So I re-inspected every inch of every menu for every movie, until I finally came across some things I didn't buy the first time around in the last hub, and when I hit save and exit, I was overjoyed to see the achievement unlock. Thank you all for watching the video, I really hope you enjoyed. I definitely enjoyed playing them because as a kid, I didn't really focus on completing these kinds of games this way, and returning to them all this time later with a fresh playstyle almost felt like I was playing the game for the first time again. Anyway, feel free to leave a comment below with any of your favorite memories with these games, and one more quick thing, there won't be a 4-month gap between this video and the next, I promise. I hope you all have a great day, peace out.